Bro, don't do this part, bro. What is this? This is so hard.
Are you struggling to write a literature review for your research report? We got you! Unique features of and requirements of composing text that are useful across disciplines. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to 1. Identify the unique features of and requirements of composing text that are useful across disciplines. Literature review and research report. 2. Develop skills in composing well-structured literature reviews and research reports that adheres to academic standards. What is a literature review? A literature review is an academic writing piece that provides a comprehensive overview of a specific topic or research area. It synthesizes existing research and scholarly sources, offering insights into the current state of knowledge, identifying gaps, and highlighting key findings. Reliable sources includes peer-reviewed journal articles, research papers, government reports, and etc. Which of these is not a reliable source? Great job! Blogs without named author lack academic credibility. Stick to peer-reviewed research. How does it compare to other types of research writing? Annotated bibliography lists sources with short summaries and why they're relevant. Think of it as an organized research notes. Book review evaluates a book's content, critiquing its arguments, strengths, and weaknesses. Literature review analyzes multiple studies, comparing and identifying trends, rather than just summarizing.
Now that we know what is literature review, let us now tackle what are the functions of this. Number 1, it justifies a research questions, methods, theoretical and conceptual framework. Number 2, it establishes the relevance of the topic. Next, it provides necessary information to better understand a specific topic or study. Number 4, it shows reviewers familiarity and mastery of the topic. Number 5, it establishes a niche of the study. And lastly, it resolves conflict among contradictory studies.
Structure of literature review. Now, let's talk about how to structure a literature review. It follows a clear format with three main parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. First is the introduction. Purpose for writing a literature review and the importance of the structure. When writing a literature review, the main purpose is to explore and analyze existing studies related to your research topic. This helps you identify what has already been discovered, what gaps remain, and how your study can contribute to the field. Next it is the scope of the review. The scope defines what you will and will not cover in your literature review. For example, if your topic is about the effect of social media on mental health, you may choose to focus on adolescents rather than adults. Moving on to the criteria used for selecting the literature. In your review, you need to choose credible and relevant sources. And lastly, organizational pattern of the review. The organizational pattern refers to how you arrange and present the studies in your literature review. You can organize it by chronology, presenting the studies in order of publication to show how the topic evolved over time. Themes, grouping studies by common topics or concepts. Methodology, organizing based on the research methods used, such as qualitative or quantitative studies. And here comes the body. This is the main part of the review. This is where you present and analyze the related studies. It may include historical background, meaning discussing how the topic has evolved over time. Relevant theories, mentioning the key theories or models related to the topic. Relationships between studies, showing how different studies support, contrast, or build upon each other. Various viewpoints, presenting differing opinions or perspectives on the topic. Strengths and weaknesses, critically evaluating the methods, findings, and limitation in each study. And lastly, the conclusion. First is restatement of the main argument or thesis. In the conclusion of your literature review, you should restate the main argument or thesis that you review support. Main agreements and disagreements in the literature. Next, you highlight the main areas of agreement and disagreement among the studies you reviewed. It's standalone paper, conclusions, implications, and direction for future studies. If your literature review is a standalone paper, not part of a larger research project, the conclusion should include conclusions, a brief summary of the key findings from the literature, implications, the real-world significance of the findings, such as how they can be applied in practice, and lastly, if part of a thesis or research paper, linking the literature review to the research questions and overall perspective. If your literature review is a part of a thesis or research paper, the conclusion should link back to your research questions.
General guidelines to writing a literature review. Number 1. Introduce the literature review by pointing out the major research topic that will be discussed. This means to provide context and explain why this topic is important. Number 2. Identify the broad problem area but don't be too global. This means to focus on a specific issue within your topic, avoiding overly general statements. Instead of saying technology in education is important, you might say the use of AI and personalized learning is gaining attention. Number 3. You will need to plan how you will structure your literature review and write from this plan. This means that you have to decide how you will organize your review. This helps create a logical flow in your writing. Number 4. Discuss the general importance of your topic for those in your field. Explain why your topic matters to researchers, professionals, or society. How does it contribute to your field? What gaps in research needs to be addressed? Number 5. Don't attempt to cover everything written in your topic. This means to focus only on key studies that are most relevant to your topic, avoiding summarizing every paper and instead highlight the most important research. Number 6. You will need to pick out the research most relevant to the topic that you are studying. Select studies that directly relate to your research question, and prioritize high quality and recent research from credible sources. Number 7. You will use the studies in your literature review as evidence that your research question is important. This means that the research you include should support why your study is important. It should show how past findings justify the need for your work. Number 8. It is important to cover research relevant to all variables being studied. Ensure that your literature review discusses research on each variable in your study. This is so readers understand the full scope of your research. Number 9. Research that explains the relationship between these variables is a top priority, meaning to give special attention to research that explains how the variables in your study interact. This helps establish a strong foundation for your research. Topical order. Organize by main topics or issues. Emphasize the relationship of the issues to the main problem. This method organizes information by dividing the main topic into subtopics or categories. Each section focuses on a specific issue that is related to the topic, allowing for a detailed exploration of each element. Chronological order. Organize the literature by the dates the research was published. This approach arranges information according to a sequence of time, from earliest to latest. It is particularly useful for historical narratives, processes, or events that unfold over time. Problem Cause Solution. Organize the review so that it moves from the problem to the solution. This pattern identifies a problem, analyzes its causes, and then proposes one or more solutions. General to specific, also called the funnel approach. This approach examines broad-based research first and then focuses on specific studies that relate to the topic. This method starts with a broad general information and then narrows down to more specific details. Specific to general. Try to discuss the specific research studies so conclusions can be drawn. This is the opposite of the previous method. This approach begins with specific details and examples before broadening out to discuss the general theories.
Here are the things that you should remember when writing a literature review. After reviewing the literature, summarize what has been done, what has not been done, and what needs to be done. Remember, you are arguing your point of why your studying is important. Pose a formal research question or state a hypothesis. All sources cited in the literature review should be listed in the references.
Writing a literature review is composed of three distinct parts: literature search, evaluation and analysis of articles, and writing the literature review. Let's first dive into literature search, and the following are the requirements. Number 1. Review the documentation style that you will adopt and be familiar with its format in relation to writing a literature review, because different subjects uses different styles. For example, APA is used in social sciences, MLA in humanities, and Chicago in history and business. So, using the same style throughout your review makes it clear and helps avoid plagiarism. Number 2. Choose and focus on a topic that you will explain. Determine the kind and number of sources you will be using. Validate with questions such as, will your literature be exclusive to articles or will it include other documents? Number 3. Survey the available online databases relevant to your topic. These include ProQuest, ScienceDirect, or Google Scholar. And as much as possible, include only the references published by top journals and publishers. Number 4. Use relevant keywords when searching for scholarly documents or article. And number 5. Always include landmark studies or papers related to your topic. And lastly, always evaluate the sources for coverage and currency. Include only those articles directly related to your topic. Once you have identified and obtained the articles for your review, analyze them before writing the actual literature review. To do this, you may apply the following steps. Number 1. Skim the articles and read their abstracts. This helps you determine whether an article is relevant to your topic before reading it in detail. And number 2. Group the articles and other documents according to their categories. By organizing the documents will make it easier to compare and analyze them later. Number 3. Take down notes. Focus on the research questions, methodology used, major findings, and their explanation and conclusion. Number 4. Summarize the details using a concept map. In this way, you will see the relationship, similarities, and differences among the articles. Number 5. Write a synthesis of the references you have read before writing the actual literature review. And lastly, create an outline. You may look for other literature reviews to serve as models for writing the outline. Now let's move on to the final part, the writing of the literature review itself. Number 1. State clearly your thesis or main argument and be guided by it accordingly. Number 2. If you say that no studies have been conducted on one aspect of your topic, justify it. Number 3, direct the readers to other related literature reviews that cover items which you do not intend to cover. While number 4, never treat a literature review as a series of annotated bibliography. Instead of summarizing each study separately, synthesize information and discuss how different studies relate to each other. Number 5, use headings and subheadings to classify the parts of your topic. Number 6, use effective transitions to make your review easier to read and understand. Number 7, use direct quotations sparingly. And lastly, classify important definitions. Clearly explain important concepts and definitions to ensure that readers understand your discussion.
Unique features and requirements of composing text that are useful across disciplines. What is a research report? A research report is an expanded paper that presents interpretation and analysis of phenomenon based on experiments and previous information so that the readers can better understand it. A research report is a formal and systematic document that conveys the process and results of a research project. It is used to present research findings clearly and logically, and to offer solutions, insights, or recommendations based on data. Parts of the research report. The first one is the title page. This contains an informative title that describes the content of the paper, the name of the author, addresses or affiliation, and the date of submission. The next part is the abstract. It briefly presents the context of the study, research questions or objectives, methodology, major findings, conclusions, and sometimes implications. It is a concise summary of the research, usually 150 to 250 words. The abstract is written after the full report is completed but placed at the beginning. Now, let us proceed to the third one, which is the introduction. This explains the current state of the field and identifies research gaps. It is also the part where the research focus is presented by addressing the identified gaps in the topic. This establishes the background and context of the research, states the problem, and explains why the study is important. The fourth one is the literature review. This contains the summary and synthesis of all available sources directly related to the study. In a research report, the literature review is divided into two sections: the related concepts and the related studies. So here are the two sections of the literature review. The first one is related concepts. This defines and explains fundamental theories and ideas that are essential for understanding the study. The second one is related studies. Summarize and analyze previous research directly relevant to the current study. So basically, related concepts refers to the theoretical framework and ideas underpinning a research area, while related studies specifically examines previous research and finding on the topic. Now, let's move on to the fifth one, which is the methodology. This presents the context within which the study was conducted, the participants, the instruments used, data gathering procedure, and the data analysis. The next one is the results. This describes the data gathered and the tables and the graphs that summarize the collected data. Along with the tables and graphs are their respective interpretations. Conclusion contains the restatement of the major findings, the limitations of the study, the recommendations, and the implications. Now, let us move on to the last part of a research report, which is the references. This contains the different sources used in the study. This may be academic books, journals, and other online sources. Its format depends on the school, teacher, or field of study.
Now that we know what a research report is, let's go step by step on how to write one. Step 1. Select and narrow down a topic. Start with a broad idea, then narrow it down to something manageable. Use brainstorming techniques or concept maps to refine your topic. Step 2. Conduct preliminary research. Gather initial sources to understand what has already been studied. This helps ensure your topic is relevant and has enough supporting research. Step 3. Formulate a thesis statement and research questions. Your thesis is your main argument. Your research questions should help guide your study and connect existing literature. Step 4. Create a preliminary outline. This keeps your report structured and prevents you from going off track. Step 5. Gather additional references. Using your preliminary outline, find more sources that directly support your study. Now that we have a strong foundation, let's move on to data collection. Step 6. Prepare the pre-final outline. Before you start writing, refine your outline to make sure everything flows logically. Step 7. Prepare research instruments. If you're conducting surveys, interviews, or experiments, now is the time to create your questionnaires or research tools. Step 8. Implement the instrument and gather data. This is where you actually collect data from your respondents or conduct experiments. Step 9. Analyze and interpret data. Once you have collected your data, use tables and graphs to visualize the results. We're almost done! Now, let's polish and finalize your report. Step 10. Write the methodology and results sections. Clearly describe how you conducted your study and present your findings using tables, charts, and text. Step 11. Write the introduction and literature review. Your introduction should explain the background of your study and why it is important. The literature review should summarize previous studies related to your topic. Step 12. Write a discussion section. Here, you interpret your results and explain their significance. Step 13. Write the conclusion. Summarize your main findings, state any limitations, and provide recommendations for future research. Step 14. Prepare the reference list. Make sure all the sources you cited in your paper are properly listed in the references section following the required citation style. Step 15. Edit and format your paper. Check grammar, spelling, and ensure that the formatting follows the correct research standards. Review your paper for clarity and coherence. If this is the order of your answer, you're correct. You now know how a research report is structured. Now that you know the steps, let's go over some key guidelines to make your research report effective. Number 1. 50 to 75% of the paper should be devoted to results and discussion. Meaning, your findings are the most important part. Don't just summarize sources. Number 2. Be sure to cite all your sources whether they are paraphrased or directly quoted. Meaning, whether you paraphrase or quote directly, always give credit to avoid plagiarism. Number 3. As with the previous types of written works, use direct quotation sparingly. Paraphrase as much as possible. It means it's better to paraphrase to show your understanding rather than overuse quotations. Number 4. Strictly follow the required documentation style. Meaning you should stick to the format required by your instructor or field of study, whether it's APA, MLA, or Chicago. Number 5. Topics should be relevant, interesting, current, and manageable in terms of resources, skills needed, and time. Make sure it's something you can realistically handle with your time, skills, and resources. Avoid topics that are too sensitive or controversial to keep your research smooth and manageable. Number 6. Research questions should directly address the given topic or thesis statement. Before we wrap up, let's quickly review what we've learned. So, literature review analyzes past research, research report presents new findings, and they both require clear structure, strong evidence, and proper citations. Thanks for watching, keep researching, keep writing, and see you in the next lesson.